My name is Megan, and at 42, I finally carved out a peaceful existence. It wasn't a straightforward journey, especially after losing my husband, Tom, to cancer 3 years ago. We shared 15 beautiful years, and some mornings I still instinctively reach for his side of the bed. Tom left me our spacious suburban home and roughly $700,000 in savings and investments. It might seem like a fortune, but I'd give it all up in a heartbeat to have him back. Still, I've built a comfortable life. I work as an HR manager at a tech firm downtown, and I've grown to cherish my own company. My parents, however, see my solitude as a tragedy. Mom calls it wasting away, and Dad just agrees with her, as he has for their 45 years of marriage. They can't fathom why I haven't remarried. You're still young enough to find someone, Mom insists during every visit, adding, it's not too late for kids, there are options. I visit them monthly, always on Sundays, dreading the 2-hour drive. The moment I step through their door, the lectures start. Megan, I saw Susan Williams at Bridge Club. Mom will say, her tone falsely casual. Her son David is divorced now, an accountant. What she omits is that David, at 39, lives in his mom's basement and has been jobless for years. I know these eligible sons of her friends. They're after a free ride, not a partner. Thanks, Mom, but I'm not interested in dating. I reply my go-to defense. Last Sunday's visit began like the rest. I arrived at noon, helped Mom with lunch, and steeled myself for the usual relationship interrogation. But something was off. They didn't mention David or any other bachelor. They were oddly subdued during the meal. Is everything all right? I asked, wary of the quiet. Mom and Dad shared a glance. Well, Mom said, folding her napkin precisely, we're concerned about your brother. That piqued my interest. Jake, 35 and 7 years my junior, took a conventional path unlike me. He married Vanessa 3 years ago, and my parents adored her from the start. She was charming, polite, and eager for a big family. What about Jake? I asked. He lost his job, Dad said. The company downsized and he was let go. They can't cover their rent and face eviction by month's end. I nodded, sensing the direction this was taking. They need somewhere to stay, Mom said, her voice shifting to insistent. Just until Jake lands another job and they save for a new place. I sighed. Jake's a bit of a mess, Mom. You know that. And I'm used to living alone. He's your brother, Mom snapped. Family supports family. Vanessa's wonderful, she'll help out. They won't be any trouble. I wasn't so sure. Jake was always the golden child, but he's impulsive and disorganized. Even as a kid, his room was chaos. And while Vanessa seemed pleasant at family events, I barely knew her. How long would they stay? I asked. A few months, Mom said firmly. 3 at most. Jake has promising leads. I was skeptical. The pharmaceutical industry was shedding jobs left and right. Please, Megan, Mom said, grabbing my hand. We'd take them in, but our place is too small. Their 2-bedroom condo was indeed cramped for 4, and my house had ample space. After an hour of guilt-tripping and assurances that Jake and Vanessa would be model guests, I caved. Fine, they can stay temporarily, but we need clear rules. Mom's face lit up. Thank you, sweetheart. Jake will be so grateful. Dad patted my shoulder. That's my girl. Jake's lucky to have you. I forced a smile, already second-guessing myself. But how bad could it be? A few months with my brother and his wife, I could manage that, right? A week later, Jake and Vanessa showed up with 4 suitcases and optimistic smiles. Sis. Jake hugged me, his familiar cologne stirring childhood memories. Thank you for this. We won't be a burden. Vanessa lingered behind, her blonde hair in a tidy ponytail. We can't thank you enough, Megan. This means everything. Her gratitude seemed genuine, her voice soft. I showed them to the first-floor guest room. Make yourselves at home, I said, handing Jake keys. I've cleared kitchen space for your things. This is so kind, Vanessa said, surveying the house. I'd love to pitch in, cooking, cleaning, whatever I can do. That'd be great, I said, feeling a flicker of hope. Maybe this would work. I'm usually home by 6 and not much of a cook. Don't worry, Vanessa smiled. I'll handle dinner nightly. We agreed I'd cover groceries, and they'd manage cooking and cleaning until they found work. I also asked them to mind utilities. Tom and I had installed smart thermostats and LED lighting to keep costs low, and I wanted it to stay that way. The first few weeks were surprisingly pleasant. I'd come home to tasty, home-cooked dinners. Vanessa was a skilled cook and a spotless house. Jake job hunted daily, and Vanessa kept things running smoothly. I even began to enjoy the company after years alone. About a month in, things shifted. The warm dinners waiting for me dwindled. The house grew untidy. One Tuesday I came home to a kitchen unchanged since breakfast, dishes piled in the sink. I made a sandwich and ate alone. Around 7:30 Jake and Vanessa strolled in. "Oh, you ate already," Vanessa said, barely glancing at me as she dropped shopping bags on the counter. "Yeah, I figured you were busy," I said, keeping my tone even. "Everything okay?" Jake grabbed a beer from the fridge. "Just running errands." I noticed Vanessa's bags were from upscale stores I rarely shopped at, even with my good salary. How were they affording this when they couldn't pay rent? The next night was similar. No dinner, house a mess. When they appeared, I addressed it. "I thought we agreed on dinner and keeping things clean," I said, reheating leftovers. Vanessa sighed theatrically. "I've been so busy. I'm starting a business with friends. We've been meeting here to plan." "Here? You've had people in my house." Annoyance flared. "Just a few friends," Vanessa shrugged. "We needed a place." I set down my fork. "Vanessa, this is my home. I don't know these people. I'm not okay with strangers here when I'm not." "They're not strangers, they're my friends," she snapped. "They're strangers to me," I shot back. "Meet at a coffee shop or their houses." Vanessa stared, then flung her fork onto her plate and stormed to their room. Jake glared. "Nice going, sis. She's trying to build something." "Jake, I'm not trying to be difficult." He cut me off, following Vanessa. After that, the house's atmosphere soured. Vanessa stopped speaking to me, no greetings, no small talk. She ceased cooking for me entirely. I'd find takeout containers or dirty pans, but nothing for me. I reverted to making my own meals, as I had before they arrived. 2 months in, I felt like an outsider in my own home. One evening I found them lounging on my couch, watching TV, eating pizza they didn't offer to share. I tried again. "Hey, how's the job hunt?" Jake didn't look up. "Making progress." "What does that mean?" I pressed. He shrugged. "A few interviews, nothing firm." Vanessa ignored me. "It's been 2 months, I said. "We agreed this was temporary." "We'll let you know when we have news," Jake said dismissively, eyes on the TV. The next Sunday, I visited my parents, relieved Jake and Vanessa stayed behind. I needed to talk. "How's it going with Jake and Vanessa?" Mom asked. "That's what I wanted to discuss," I began, but Mom cut in. "Jake says you're pressuring them about jobs, making them feel like they're taking advantage." I was floored. "What?" I barely brought it up, just asked how it's going. "He says you're making them unwelcome," Dad added. "That's not like you." "They promised to help," I explained. "Vanessa stopped weeks ago. She's been having people over without asking." Mom shook her head. "They're struggling, Megan. Be more understanding." "Understanding? They're living rent-free, I buy their food, pay all bills." My frustration grew. "They're family," Dad said sternly. "Family helps each other." I realized arguing was futile. My parents had sided with Jake. I changed the topic, and we had a tense dinner before I left. Pulling into my driveway, I saw an unfamiliar car in my spot. Puzzled, I parked on the street and entered. Suitcases lined the hallway, and voices came from the living room. Not just Jake and Vanessa's. I walked in to find Vanessa's parents, Robert and Linda, on my couch. I'd met them briefly at family events. Silence fell. "Megan," Jake said with forced cheer. "Look who's here." I forced a smile. "Hi, Robert, Linda. Nice to see you." Linda nodded curtly. "Megan, can we talk?" I said to Jake, keeping my tone polite. Upstairs in my office, I asked, "What's going on? Why are Vanessa's parents here with suitcases?" Jake rubbed his neck. "They're visiting for a week, en route to Arizona to see Vanessa's brother." "And you didn't ask me before inviting them to stay?" My voice rose. "Please, Megan," Jake pleaded. "It's just a week. They'll be gone soon." "This is what I meant, Jake. You can't invite people to stay without asking." "I know, I'm sorry. he said. But they're here. What do you want me to do, send them to a hotel? I stared at his pleading face and relented. Fine. 1 week. That's it. Jake grinned. Thanks, sis. You're the best. Back downstairs, I noticed Vanessa had cooked dinner, suddenly helpful with her parents around. We ate, and I tried to be civil despite my irritation. So Megan, Linda began, lovely home. How many bedrooms? 4, I said, chewing. And you live here alone? Robert asked. Yes, Tom left me everything when he passed. I dislike discussing finances with near strangers. Such a big house for one, Linda said. How do you manage upkeep? I manage fine, I said curtly. Linda glanced at Robert. If I had a house this size, I'd sell it. Too much for one person. The money could help family. I nearly choked. Excuse me. You could sell, give half to Jake for a home and get something smaller, she said. Jake stared at his plate. When you have a house like this, I said evenly, you can sell it and give the money to your kids. This is my home. I'm not selling. Silence fell. Linda pursed her lips. Vanessa glared. Dinner ended quietly. The next week was unbearable. Conversations hushed when I entered. Linda and Robert pried into my finances, job, and personal life, treating my home like a hotel, wet towels on floors, dishes in sinks. I counted the days. Friday arrived and I felt lighter driving home. Soon it'd be just Jake, Vanessa, and me, still not ideal but better. I planned to confront Jake about their job search and moving out. 3 months had passed with no progress. But when I opened my door, I froze. My suitcases sat in the hallway, packed with my clothes and toiletries. Voices came from the living room. I walked in, heart racing, to find Jake, Vanessa, and her parents reviewing a guest list. What's going on? I demanded. Why are my things packed? They exchanged looks. Vanessa shrugged. We're planning my parents' 35th anniversary party. Relatives are coming tomorrow. Here? In my house. I was stunned. Just the weekend, Jake said weakly. Where am I supposed to go? I asked. We thought a hotel or your parents', Vanessa said casually. We need space for guests. I stared, incredulous. They'd packed my things to kick me out for a party I didn't know about. This is my house, I said, voice trembling. You don't decide who stays or leaves. If anyone's going to a hotel, it's your relatives. Don't be absurd, Linda scoffed. We can't ask family to stay at a hotel. But you can ask me to leave my home? I was livid. It's 1 weekend, Vanessa said. Don't be selfish. Selfish? I nearly shouted. I've housed you rent-free for 3 months, bought your food, paid utilities, and tolerated your disrespect. You're being dramatic, Vanessa said, rolling her eyes. I want your parents out by tomorrow, I said firmly. No party. Linda gasped. You can't. We've invited everyone. Watch me, I said coldly. To Jake I added, I expected better from you. He looked ashamed but stayed silent. I stormed to my room, slammed the door, and called Mom, hands shaking. Jake and Vanessa are trying to kick me out for Vanessa's parents' anniversary party, I said. A pause. Jake mentioned a small gathering, she said cautiously. You knew. I was floored. It seemed reasonable, just a weekend. It's my house, Mom. They didn't ask. Family helps family, she repeated. Stay with us for the weekend. Take a break. I realized my parents endorsed this. I have to go, I said, hanging up. Sitting on my bed, I felt betrayed but resolved. Saturday morning I woke early, clear-headed. The house was quiet. Jake, Vanessa, and her parents were out buying party supplies. Last night I'd feigned surrender, telling them they were right, I was selfish, and they could have their party. I told Mom I'd stay with them. Jake was relieved, Vanessa smug, her parents triumphant. They thought they'd won. But as they left, I acted. I called a 24-hour locksmith I'd found online. He arrived by 8:30 a.m., and by 10 o'clock every lock was changed. I paid him generously, packed Jake, Vanessa, Robert, and Linda's belongings into their suitcases, and placed them on the lawn. Then I sat with tea waiting. Around noon they returned, arms full of party supplies. They saw the suitcases, confusion dawning. Jake tried his key, then knocked. Megan, the key's not working. I approached the door but didn't open it. I changed the locks. Silence, then Vanessa's voice. What? Open the door. No, I said firmly. I want you off my property. You can't. Linda shrieked. Our party's tonight. You should have thought of that before trying to evict me, I replied. Jake pleaded. Megan, we can talk. No. You've abused my generosity, disrespected my home, and tried to force me out for an unapproved party. We're done. Vanessa pounded the door. Let us in or I'll call the police. Go ahead. I'll explain how you've been squatting and refusing to leave. Jake tried. Sis, where are we supposed to go? Not my problem. You've had 3 months. Time's up. Linda wailed. Robert calmed her. Vanessa kicked the door. If you damage my property, I'll call the police, I warned. The kicking stopped. Mom and Dad will hear about this, Jake threatened. I'm sure, I said. Now leave. After more arguing, they loaded their bags and drove off, Jake and Vanessa in one car, Robert and Linda in another. My phone rang instantly, Mom. I declined, then ignored a flood of texts. What have you done? Jake says you threw them out. From Mom. Call us now, young lady. From Dad. I turned off my phone, sipped tea, and savored my home's quiet. Over the next few days, my parents' messages grew angrier, calling me cruel and selfish. Jake texted, cutting ties forever. I didn't reply. A week later, I turned my phone back on. The messages had slowed. My cousin Emily said Jake and Vanessa moved in with my parents, who quickly tired of their entitlement, giving them 2 months to find jobs and a place or leave. I smiled at the irony. It's been a month since I changed the locks. My parents aren't speaking to me, and I'm fine with it. The silence is restorative. No more lectures, no pressure to date, no guilt about kids. I've reclaimed my home and boundaries. Some may call me selfish for not letting family exploit me, but I call it self-respect. Maybe we'll reconcile. Maybe my parents will see Jake's flaws, or he'll take responsibility, or Vanessa will stop treating family as a resource. Or maybe not. I'm done being a doormat. Last weekend, I painted the guest room a vibrant yellow that lifts my spirits. I've resumed hosting friends for dinner, something I paused when Jake and Vanessa arrived. I'm living on my terms. It's not the life my parents wanted. No husband, no kids, just me in my big house, but it's mine. After standing up for myself, setting boundaries my family couldn't cross, I'm proud of it.